Just going back to the subject of SPs, do you feel that racecourses would suffer should a non-racecourse based industry SP be introduced?
Well, I think the first thing to add up is about the SP. My own view is that it should be racecourse based. The SP should be coming from the racecourse, and long may that continue. So I think it would be disappointing if it went to an off-course market. I really do. Would racecourses suffer? I would imagine there would be some downturns for individual racecourses, but would it have a massive impact? Probably not. But I think that the key point here is that we think the racecourse is the best place for the SP to be created and developed. So that's what would be supporting.
I mean, there's some quite loud voices, if not necessarily influential, on social media, sort of calling for it. Do you feel that there is a general industry, feel that they might want to do that eventually, or do you think it's just loud, hot air?
Again, I talked to one or two trading directors from the off-course firms, and I certainly don't see there's any great appetite for that to be done in the short term. But listen, the world is changing. There's certainly a lot more people betting off-course, on mobiles than there was historically. Evolution will happen, but as I say, in the short term, I believe it should certainly be the SP should be created here on course, and we want to fully support that as a racecourse.
You mentioned things evolving. That's also the same with racecourses. Do you feel that racecourses have a duty of care to bookmakers who invest large amount of money in pitches when rearranging their layout and creating additional areas?
Absolutely. And I think consulting with individual bookmakers is really important here. And I'd like to think that we as the Jockey Club do that. If you look at whether we're relocating an area or creating new bed, that would be a consultation process that we make with a representation of bookmakers from that course. And if you look, a great example is the Lower Tattersalls area here at Cheltenham, which 4 or 5 years ago I think you were struggling to get customers into the ring because of the layout of the Guinness grandstand, and customers couldn't even get in it. I think the team here at Cheltenham have done a fantastic job in sort of creating new entrances, opening it all up, and now customers can get into that ring very, very clearly. And that's made a big impact. If you talk to bookmakers who bet in that area, they're absolutely thrilled with that. And you can see by pitch values when they're sold either privately or through an auction, those pitches have gained in value because now customers can access them at a far easier rate.
I think everybody will agree that the betting ring is thriving at the big meetings. But one look at a midweek, sort of middle of the road track, you can see that the betting ring is dwindling badly. Yeah. What do you think it needs to do to move forward and grow rather than keep shrinking at those midweek meetings?
I think it's a real challenge. I think midweek racing is a challenge for us as racecourses. We want people to come racing, but getting people to come racing on Tuesday afternoons, Wednesday afternoon is challenging. And racecourses are having to sort of almost reinvent themselves and be very creative in getting people to come racing. And obviously that has an impact. Less people who come racing has an impact on the on-course bookmakers, and we don't want that. We at the end of the day, we all really want the same thing. Racecourses want more people to come racing, and bookmakers want more people to come racing because then they'll bet with them. So it's a win-win situation. I think there's lots of bookmakers who just that their first view is that racecourses charge too much to come racing. Well, I don't think that is the truth. I don't think that's the main reason people don't come racing. I think it's people's leisure time is a lot more restricted than it ever has been, and people are under more pressure, and it's very difficult. To people who come racing 3 or 4 times a week, those customers don't really exist anymore. It's very difficult.
We all know that bookmakers can shout rather loudly when they think they've been wronged, but do they do enough to promote themselves and their businesses, do you think, on course?
I walk around, whenever I go racing, I walk around the betting rings, and I see examples of some fantastic promoting and marketing of products. I really do. There are some fantastic bookmakers out there who do a really amazing job promoting themselves and the on-course market. However, I think you do see some bookmakers who, actually, would I want to be doing business with them? Would I want to be placing a bet with them? Probably not. I think the world we live in, the customers now demand so much more, and that's whether they go to a restaurant, whether they go to the cinema. The experience of going. People want to. They're happy to spend money, but they want a good experience. And if they get poor customer service, then they're not going to return. And I think that the on-course market, the on-course bookmakers, have got that responsibility. So you have to sell yourself, you have to promote yourself, and if you do that, I think you'll do good business.
Okay, well, in your position, you make decisions regularly that have a positive and negative effect on other people's businesses.
Yeah.
How do you take this responsibility, and how do you cope with the pressure of it?
I love my role that I've got within the Jockey Club, and you're right. There are occasionally decisions that are made which I'm not going to get 100% support for, but that's life, and we're paid to make decisions. I'm not making decisions for the sole reason to annoy or have a negative impact on specific bookmakers. I'm making a decision which is hopefully going to be better for everyone in the long term. Yeah, there may be some short-term pain, but everything we're trying to do is just trying to benefit everybody who comes racing, and hopefully that will assist bookmakers in the long term also.
So you pretty much answered my next question, would you apply to do such a combative job again?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't find it. I mean, listen, there have been examples over the years where we've had some issues, but I think 99% of bookmakers are absolutely fantastic to work with. They really are, and there's a real camaraderie between themselves, and there's a camaraderie between us and them. I'm not saying that everyone here thinks that what we're doing and what I'm doing personally is positive, but I think there's a lot of very, very sensible business people out there who are looking at the future. They're investing in pitches for the long term, and it's a fantastic way of living for many people. So yeah, I want us to continue to work with them and grow, and I want Racecourses to thrive, but I want betting rings to thrive also.
If there was one thing that you would like to see bookmakers do universally to up their game, what would it be?
Wow. I think just generally look at the customer service. I think improving the customer service. Yeah, again, I've mentioned it already, but you see certain bookmakers who are really making an effort, and I think collectively, the bookmakers need to raise their game. To offer even better customer service. And I'm not talking about the prices they're offering, I'm just talking about the way that we deal with the consumer. It's so important. And as I say, I see some fantastic bookmakers out there, but there are one or two who probably could try harder.
And finally, semi-finally, do you fancy having a go at it yourself?
I'm interested. I went out with Martyn Verrill when I first came into this role, which was fantastic actually. I really enjoyed it. I had a day at Newbury with him and his brother, and it's hard work. It was great fun, and I think that people, some racegoers think it's just a license to print money. It's not at all. It's hard work, and you need to work at it. Whether I want to do it as a full-time role, I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure there'd be some exciting moments in the time you were involved. So watch this space.
And as a final, would you bet with a bookmaker that wore a Megadeath T Shirt?
Yeah, I mean, this is a funny one. I talk about customer service. I think it's really important that the way that we all present ourselves is very important. And talking to the tote pool now, talking to our catering company, how you present yourself is really important. But again, I have seen examples of our in our betting rings, particularly in the summer months, of bookmakers just not really making much of an attempt. Wearing scruffy shorts and, as you say, Megadeath T Shirts is not something I'd be wanting to necessarily be doing. I say the customer is becoming even more demanding than it's ever been. So whether I wouldn't necessarily be pushing for there to be a sort of dress code within betting rings. However, I think collectively the bookmakers should be making an effort to make themselves more presentable. The majority look fantastic, but there's always one or two who let you down.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.